Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am your saviour, Sam Graves, and welcome to the second part of my WCW Sold Out 99 review. On 99 Was It Divine, episode 7. So, after the shit that was the first half of the show with 2 half stars and a 2 star and a 3.5 star, did this show get any better, or did it get any worse? Well, the answer was a resounding no. It didn't get any better at all, really. 2 good matches, and the rest of the show was pretty shite. So, after the match that was Bigelow versus Wrath, Conan is being interviewed in the back, and so he says that Conan's not being interviewed in the back. Conan makes his way down to the ring. He cuts a promo on Luger that cuts the usual promo, or Vado Andale, blah blah blah. This brings out Luger. Luger says he didn't, what I gave you was just a small, basically a small check the other day on Nitro. It doesn't have to be this way, yada yada yada. So Conan basically says, screw it, does the babyface thing and attacks Luger. So, in our next match on the show, I thought this was the Cruiserweight title match because that's what they've been insinuating on commentary earlier, but they got it completely wrong. So, sorry about that. I can't do what WCW do. Sorry, I can do what WCW, and that's screw up. So, the Cruiserweight title match is the third to last match on the card. And in my thing is, does it get any worse? Yes, it does, because we get the first of 2 duds on this show. So, in our next match, Lex Luger defeated Conan in a fucking shite match. There is literally nothing of note in this match. Both guys just just lightly strike each other. Both the guys look pretty crap in this. Luger gets an extended beatdown on Conan. It's not very good. All Luger literally does is boring offense, rest holds, strikes. Conan gets a comeback. I'll be honest, Luger was his usual terrible self in this match. Well, I say his late 90s terrible self. Conan was Conan. He was alright. End of the match comes when Conan brings his comeback, locks in the Tequila Sunrise, and Elizabeth makes her way down to the ring. She has a can of spray paint in her hands, and while the referee is trying to check on if Conan's can get the tap out, he's basically checking on Luger. Out the referee's view, Liz sprays paint into Conan's eyes, and that allows Luger to lock on the torture rack. Dud from me. Fucking shite, man. Nothing of redeemable quality at all. And the first match on the show with a screwy finish. Don't worry, it won't be the last. Typical bullshit on this show, as usual. Rubbish. So after this, we get a promo in the back from Chris Jericho. Says that tonight he's gonna basically say to Saturn he wishes him well when he has to put on a dress tonight. So in our next match, Chris Jericho defeated Perry Saturn in a meh match. Loser of this one has to wear a dress, which is I don't really understand the stipulation for this at all. It's mentioned on commentary that the referee for this one, Scott Dickinson, is basically Jericho's paying him off basically to screw around with Perry Saturn. Jericho's accompanied by Ralphus. I don't really understand what Ralphus's charm. I really don't, especially with Jericho and with Norman Smiley. I really don't understand the charm of this guy. It's just some fat bloke, some fat comedy character. Probably one of the worst things in wrestling, personally, Ralphus. Don't find him appealing in the slightest. This match is okay. I mean, there's not much to it. There's a few nice moves in it. There's a nice DDT from Saturn that gets 2. Jericho attempts the Lion Salt. That's blocked by Saturn. Counters that into a pin. That gets 2. Saturn hits a nice Death Valley driver, but Jericho smartly rolls out of the ring. Basically, you can tell a mile away how this match is going to end, because throughout this, at the start of the match, all 3 of the commentary team were mentioning that Saturn's had his issues with this ref. Jericho's paying him off. Blah blah blah. So you can see the finish coming from a mile away, and lo and behold, the referee is even up until the finish. Basically, Jericho attempts to go for a suplex. Jericho attempts to go for a Northern Lights suplex. Saturn counters into an inside cradle, and then the referee rolls the cradle over, so Jericho's on top. And lightning quick 3 count, and Jericho wins, and Saturn has to wear a dress. The people are paying for this show. 2 stars. It was the wrestling in it was fine, but Ralphus is not my cup of tea. I don't find him appealing in the slightest. The finish you could see coming from a mile away. As I said, again, the same with the previous match, the screwy finish, and yeah, I mean, fair enough. The reason why this match is happening, because Saturn's supposed to be this really intense wrestler, and the reason they did this angle with the dress was to try and make Saturn a bit more appealing, more charisma. It worked to some degree, but of course Perry Saturn would be gone by the end of the year. He'd join, of course, WWF in January 2000. As a matter of fact, Benoit would, Malenko would, and Eddie Guerrero would. So this show is still not very good, but there is one shining... Well, I say one shining light. It's equal match of the night with Smiley and Guerrero. There's one more shining light on this card, as in our next match, Billy Kidman defeats Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, and Rey Mysterio Jr. in a pretty good 4 corners match to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. Now, what makes me laugh even before the start of this match is none of the commentators can work out who's won the coin toss and who's starting the matchup. Shivani is basically apologising to the fans, saying he got it wrong. Right, well, the fact is you're being told from backstage what's going on, so you should know who's starting the match. And then Shivani gets himself confused. That causes Tenay to get confused and Heenan to get confused. So I'm confused. Now, earlier in the night they said it was Ray and Billy Kidman that were going to start this match. And then apparently now it's going to be Hoovy and Psychosis starting this match. Then Hoovy and Ray. Then Hoovy and Kidman. Just stop. Easiest thing to do, right? Just make this an elimination match. That's it. Simple. So, and just don't make it tag in and tag out. This is confusing as hell at the start. But there's some really this one gets 3.5 stars. There's some really nice spots in this one. The heels bicker on the outside after Kidman and Ray do some really good double teaming. There's a really nice bulldog combo by Kidman and Mysterio. Hoovy and Psychosis take control. This storyline is basically stemmed to the fact that the Latino World Order that Ray, Hoovy and Psychosis were part of were disbanded. Ray basically didn't want to cheat to win. So back at Starrcade, it was Ray, Hoovy and Kidman in a triple threat match. Kidman, because of Mysterio's help, Kidman retained the title. He pinned Hoovy, and then that caused Eddie Guerrero to get pissed off, leader of the LWO. So Eddie then faced Kidman, and Ray cost Eddie the title. So now, following pay-per-view, we've got a 4-way Cruiserweight title match. This is easily by far the best match on this show. I'll say easily. It would have been if not for Smiley and Guerrero putting on such an underrated match earlier in the show. But yeah, there's literally there's some really nice spots in this. What I've said earlier, there's really, the heels tease doing Asai moonsaults early on in the match, but they basically keep arguing as to arguing over who's going to hit the move on Ray and Kidman. So in the end, Kidman and Ray take out both Psychosis and Hoovy, and then they proceed to hit sunset flip power bombs off of the apron onto the floor. Ray's was a lot better than Kidman's, I must admit. But yeah, Ray was the MVP of this match by far. In the ring, it's basically Charles Robinson's the referee. He loses control. He loses like all of us do, basically, because of how fast paced this match is. He loses control of the match. So basically, the entire four corners thing is just thrown out the window and just turned into a four-way. Why it couldn't have been that from the start, I don't know. Hoovy Driver gets 2. That gets broken up by Kidman. Psychosis hits his guillotine leg drop. That's broken up by Ray. So both their moves were attempted on. So Psychosis hits the guillotine leg drop on Hoovy. Really nice counter by Rey Mysterio. Basically, Hoovy attempts to go for a back. Basically, he attempts to go for Ray attempts a bulldog. Hoovy counters it into a really, really nice release German suplex. That throws Ray out the ring. Kidman then comes in. He hits a springboard DDT. That gets 2. Pins broken up by Psychosis. Ray gets back in the ring. He then basically Ray attempts a Hurricanrana. That gets counted into a wheelbarrow bulldog. That gets 2 for Ray. So basically Ray attempts a Rana. Psychosis attempts to counter it by suplexing Ray, and Ray just counters it by holding on bulldogging him. That's nice. That gets 2. Kidman hits a sit-out spinebuster. That gets 2. Really love that fucking move. BK Bomb gets 2 for Kidman. He gets chucked out the ring. So it's Hoovy and Ray in the ring. Hoovy hits a sunset flip powerbomb from the top rope. That gets 2, broken up by Psychosis. Psychosis then throws Hoovy into the corner, and then out of the corner, Hoovy counter. They both go to the top rope. Hoovy then hits the top rope Rana. That gets 2. Pins broken up by Kidman. I'm losing control of this match. Ray and Kidman hit stereo suicide dives on the outside. That's really nice. Back in the ring. Psychosis and Kidman are in the ring. Ray then Hoovy attempts to go for a springboard move, but Ray hurricanranas it off the apron. Psychosis attempts to go for his finisher, which is a tornado DDT, but Kidman holds on, counters it, kicks him in the ribs, hits a flow over DDT, and then hits a stupid star press to get the win at 16 minutes 45 seconds. It was one of the longest matches of the night, easily the best match of the night. I was going to give it 3.5, but I'm going to give it 3 3/4. This is what seems to be for me. The undercard stuff is pretty good, but usually with WCW, the undercard stuff's usually good, and the main event is usually main event stuff is shite. This was by far the best match of the night. Norman Smiley vs. Chavo, I'm going to downgrade to a 3-star match. I think I overrated it a little bit, but compared to the rest of the stuff on the show, it's like a breath of fresh air. After the match, Ray and Kidman shake hands, and that's it. They all go to the back. After this, we get a video package highlighting the Flares versus NWO feud that's happening tonight. So in our semi-main event, David Flair and Ric Flair defeated Barry Windham and Kurt Hennig in a good yeah, to be fair, a good tag team match. So basically, the whole gist of this one is that Ric Flair cost Eric Bischoff the presidency of WCW. Flair's now the president. He won it the night after Starrcade. Hennig had cost Flair the match at Starrcade. They had a rematch the following night on Nitro. Because of Flair defeating Bischoff, Flair became the new president of WCW. This caused Hennig and Wyndham to attack Flair and Arn Anderson. So Flair has challenged them to he originally challenged them to a handicap match, but then David then said, Hennig and Flair said they'd only wrestle if it was a tag match, and that his boy David Flair would join the match. So David accepted on it. But obviously, Rick didn't want to put his boy in harm's way. But Arn and Chris Benoit, Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit prompted him into adding him to the match, because they thought that he had skills capable of hanging with everyone. So David was added to the match. This match, wrestling wise, wasn't great. There were a few nice moves in it. Flair flop. Some really, really good moves. It said, multiple teases of the figure four in this match until finally Hennig gets it locked on Flair, on Ric Flair. David starts off the match with Wyndham, out wrestles him with some really good amateur wrestling. Tads in Rick, and then Rick for the next. This match goes about 20 minutes. Rick gets absolutely battered by Hennig and Kurt. Best part of 10 minutes. Pillar to post, multiple things by the heels. Flair gets beaten. Behind, so typical heel things in this match, attacking Flair behind the ref's back. The illegal man attacking him on the outside, distracting the ref. Good heel work. But Wyndham attempts to go for a suplex on Ric Flair. This start the end of the match. Flair pokes him in the eye, so that allows him to tag in David. But then David gets battered by Hennig. Hennig gets tagged in, and of course because it's Kurt Hennig, he batters David Flair. And then basically David gets a fluke win. So Ric Flair and Barry Windham are fighting on the outside. The referee is too busy distracted trying to break up their fight on the outside. So while the referee is too busy dealing with that, Arn Anderson sneaks into the ring, smashes. Basically, Hennig's about to go for the perfect plex, and while the ref's not looking, while the ref's dealing with a brawl between Wyndham and Ric Flair on the outside, Arn Anderson sneaks in the ring, grabs a tire iron and smashes it over the back of Hennig's head, and basically David flops forward and falls on top of Hennig. Referee comes in, 1, 2, 3, and David and Rick win. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. The wrestling, like I said, wasn't great in this match. The story is what carried this match. Wonderful thing from Rick. I could have done without the cheap finish, because pretty much most of this card was, the last few matches apart from the Cruiserweight match has had a cheap finish, and this one was no different. But I understand why the finish happened, so it just makes sense. And then after the match, the entire NWO come out. So, Wolfpack and Hollywood, the entire NWO come out, and they absolutely batter Arn Anderson. Benoit and Malenko try and make the save. They get battered. And then Ric Flair gets handcuffed by Scott Norton to the ropes. There's about, 15 or 20 guys in the ring at the moment. Hogan comes in, the entire NWO basically start acting like schoolyard bullies, shoving David Flair around, until Hulk Hogan takes off his weightlifting belt. He gets hit with a belly-to-belly from Scott Steiner, and then basically Hogan just grabs his belt and starts whipping David in front of Rick. And Rick, this is uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable but it's good storytelling, and I'll give WCW credit here. They actually did well. But the beatdown goes on for way too long. It ends with Eazy-E being spray painted by Hulk Hogan on the back of David Flair, and basically the insinuation of this is that Hulk Hogan has been ordered by Eric Bischoff to get revenge for him because of Rick causing Eric to be booted out of WCW. So this would lead on to the match between these two at Super Brawl for the World Heavyweight title. Hogan versus this would lead eventually to Hogan versus Rick at Super Brawl, of course, which I'll be reviewing next. And I wouldn't be surprised if that match ends up having a screw finish. I'll go into these shows. I've never seen any of these shows before. This was good storytelling. Best person in this match was Ric Flair by far. Flair made this match for me. David looked good for what limited time in the ring he was. He did do some really nice amateur wrestling with Barry Windham. Kurt Hennig was fine. Barry Windham was fine in this match, and Arn Anderson was fine as well. So, yeah, pretty good, decent match. I said good originally, but I'm just going to I did originally say 3, but I'm going to downgrade to 2.5. Decent match. Good. The story carried it. Not much wrestling in it, and the post-match beat down by the NWO could have done without, because we've seen it multiple times. Good storytelling, but we've seen it way too many times, and it's sort of familiarity breeds contempt. And then we get to our main event. So in our main event, Goldberg defeated Scott Hall in a shite stun gun ladder match. So basically, the objective is this one is there's a stun gun hanging on a rope on a lead. Let me get that right. There's a stun gun hanging above the ring. It's hooked up by Randy Anderson before the match starts. There's Michael Buffer does the intros for this one. Buffer they paid Buffer to do it every single bloody main event. I don't know why. Only really should have been saved for big matches. This certainly wasn't one of them. So as you know, Scott Hall cost Goldberg the world title at Starrcade. Then we got the whole fucking finger poke of doom, which eventually led to WCW's downfall. And this is Goldberg's revenge. This is a dud match. There's literally nothing of note in this match, apart from that Goldberg's got an injured knee. Scott Hall spends this match is about 12 minutes. He spends the first 2 or 3 working over the knee with very boring offense. He literally just stomps. All he does is stomp. He just basically knocks Goldberg down with a clothesline and ends up stomping his knee. That's literally all he does. And then Hall, being Hall, poses to the camera multiple times. And this is boring, and I'm getting bored. Goldberg makes his comeback. Goldberg sells the knee. It's a clothesline on Hall. He hits a military press slam on Hall. Goldberg then goes outside of the ring to grab a ladder. Hall then attacks him. This was a fucking stupid spot. Basically, Hall comes from behind. They start brawling in the entrance ramp. And Hall, he gently pushes Goldberg. There's a ladder literally lying on the floor. He gently pushes Goldberg. And Goldberg, instead of falling across over the ladder, he just literally falls flat on his ass on the ladder. And I couldn't stop chuckling at this. How bad this match is. So after this, they get back in the ring. Ladder's set up in the centre of the ring by Hall. Hall big boots Goldberg and knocks him down. Goldberg obviously can't get up because his knee's that badly injured. Now Hall has got a clear opportunity to win this match here. He climbs up about 5 steps up the ladder. He's almost at the top to grab the stun gun. But Hall, instead of thinking, I could win this match and grab this stun gun and taser him, what does Hall do? No, instead of just reaching, because Hall is tall, he's 6'7". So Hall, instead of reaching up and grabbing the stun gun, he thinks, oh, Goldberg's there, lying on the ground. Oh, what should I do? He hits an elbow drop off the ladder. And I'm thinking, you absolute fucking idiot. But just for more comedic value, the ladder falls on top of Hall. And I can't stop laughing at how bad this match is. After this, there's more boring. You know, the ladder's then knocked down multiple times, with each guy trying to get up and get the thing and get the stun gun. Each time it's countered by somebody pushing the ladder over, so same old, same old. Eventually, after what feels like an age, Goldberg climbs up the ladder to grab the stun gun, and then Disco Inferno makes his way out to the ring. He interferes. He hits the Chartbuster, which is the stunner, the sit-down stunner, so that knocks Goldberg out again. Scott Hall, because he's too pissed, and attempts to climb up the ladder to grab the stun gun. But Goldberg, with his last feat of strength, manages to push the ladder over. That causes Hall to be crotched on the top rope. Disco Inferno gets speared out of his boots by Goldberg. Goldberg goes up, grabs the taser. Well, I say grabs the taser. And then basically threatens Hall with it. Hall basically is pushing off in the corner. Hall's really scared. Goldberg's basically teasing with him, and basically Hall's trying to pray him off. This allows Disco Inferno to recover. He low blows Goldberg. And then Hall basically tackles Goldberg. He attempts to spear him and completely botches it. So the taser goes flying out of the ring. He goes flying to the outside, and there's a woman on the outside screaming at Goldberg, telling him, "Oh, the taser's there! The taser's there! Yeah!" And he can see it. It's right in front of him. He can see it. Because basically after this, Hall and Goldberg are trying to basically pull each other, trying to fight each other, trying to grab this thing on the outside. Goldberg basically the ladder had been knocked over earlier from Hall being knocked off of it. So basically Goldberg, while this is going on, before the taser gets thrown in the ring, Goldberg just grabs the ladder and smashes Hall in the face with it, knocks him out. Goldberg then grabs the stun gun again. Disco Inferno attempts to interfere again, but Goldberg just spears him on the outside, and I'll be honest, the only good part of this match. Goldberg then, for some reason, instead of deciding to just go and taser Hall straight away, he just thinks, fuck it, spears Hall, hits a jackhammer, and then just tasers Hall's prone body on the ground, get the win at about 13.5 minutes. After the bell, Bam Bam Bigelow makes his way down to the ring. He starts fighting with Goldberg. He beats up Goldberg, but Hall, so I'm thinking, okay, so Triple B's then joined the NWO, but no, Swerve. For some inexplicable reason, Hall grabs the taser and tasers both Goldberg and Bam Bam Bigelow, and then Hall grabs Disco and starts walking up the ramp. I didn't get this at all. I didn't understand this at all. Why? Fair enough. Bigelow wants to have a match with Goldberg because Goldberg beat him a couple of years ago, and one of Goldberg's first matches, he beat Bam Bam Bigelow. So Bigelow, of course, wants his revenge. So that's why I understand that they explain this on commentary, so I'll give them credit where it's due. But I don't understand why Scott Hall grabs the taser and attacks Bigelow as well as Goldberg. Goldberg, it's understandable why he attacks, but it's not understandable why he attacks Bam Bam Bigelow. This pay-per-view was crap. This pay-per-view. Now, I've reviewed 5 ECW shows. The 6th one I'm having to do a re-recording of because the first take, the file was corrupted, so I've got to redo the review for that. This pay-per-view was shit. 2 3.5-star matches. One 3.5-star match with the Cruiserweights. A 3-star between Norman Smiley and Chavo Guerrero. and a 2.5-star match between the Flares and the NWO. The rest of this card was fucking shite. Mike Enos versus Benoit was only a 2-star because of Benoit carrying the match. Enos is shit. 2 half-star matches with Van Hammer versus Finlay. Finlay again carrying the match. And then Bam Bam Bigelow versus Wrath, or Brian Clark. That was shit. 2 duds on the show. Main event, Goldberg versus Scott Hall, because of how fucking bad it was. It wasn't funny bad. It was just bad. And you know, another typical Lex Luger match, boring as sin, and he has to cheat to get the win. And a very, very underwhelming match between Perry Saturn and Chris Jericho with another screwy finish. You know, so if we look from top to bottom, so opening match, 2 stars. Show peaks again, goes up with Saturn, with Smiley versus Chavo Guerrero. Then we get 3 shit matches on the bounce with Van Hammer versus Finlay, shouldn't be nowhere near a pay-per-view. Wrath versus Bam Bam Bigelow, shouldn't be anywhere near a pay-per-view. Chris Benoit versus Mike Enos, shouldn't be anywhere near a pay-per-view. Smiley versus Chavo, understandable why it's on the pay-per-view because of the whole thing about the horse. Conan versus Luger was fucking shite. Now, I understand that Conan wants to get his revenge for being kicked out of the NWO, but why put him against Lex Luger? I don't know. Perry Saturn versus Chris Jericho, very underwhelming match from those two, with a very, very shit finish. The 4 Corners Cruiserweight match for the title was what you'd expect. 4 quality Cruiserweight wrestlers, Hoovy, Psychosis, Kidman and Rey Mysterio in easily match of the night. 3.5 stars. And then, a story-wise, a good tag match, but wrestling-wise, not very good, with Wyndham and Hennig versus the Flares. And then the main event between Goldberg and Scott Hall in a fucking terrible stun gun ladder match. The worst ladder match I've ever seen. And just, it just was terrible. Goldberg, after about 5 minutes, Goldberg stopped selling the injured knee. There was, again, interference from Disco. More interference again. Stupid spots in the match, especially the elbow drop off the ladder, which is completely pointless. Botches aplenty with things with people, with moves going wrong and all the usual crap. And then afterwards, a pointless Bam Bam Bigelow run-in, and again, not really understanding what's going on with Scott Hall attacking both Bigelow and Goldberg. Oh god, this pay-per-view was shite, and it's only going to get worse from here. So if we run down from top to bottom, opening match, Enos Benoit 2 stars, Smiley versus Chavo 3 stars, Van Hammer versus Finlay 0.5 star, Wrath versus Bigelow 0.5 star. Good lord. Conan versus Luger, dud. Perry Saturn versus Chris Jericho 2 stars. 4 Corners Cruiserweight match 3.5 stars. That's the only match I would recommend going to watch on this show. The Flares versus Hennig and Wyndham 2.5 stars, and I'll be honest, I'm being quite generous giving it 2.5 stars. And Hall versus Goldberg, dud. Fucking shite main event and all that, because Scott Hall is just at this time was completely out of it. You go and look at him in his Razor Ramon compared to this, night and day. And I know that at the time he was going through his whole alcohol issues, but this shouldn't have been the main event of this show. The main event of this show should have been the tag match. That's and it's just a shit main event. And considering that at Super Bowl we've got Hogan versus Flair, God, I'm really not looking forward to that match at all. I mean, if it was in 1990 or 91, maybe, but at 99, no thanks. So with those star ratings, 3.5 and a 3 star, I'm giving this pay-per-view 2 out of 10. It was utterly shite. Avoidable at all costs. You know, a 3.5 and a 3-star match does not save this pay-per-view from being shite. 2 duds, 2 half-a-stars, a 2-star, and 2 2-star matches. This pay-per-view is pretty much a void at all costs. It's shite. It's utter shite, this pay-per-view. Worst match of the night. Well, if you want to say my worst person of the night, as I normally do my end of review rankings, worst person of the night, Lex Luger. No problem giving it to him whatsoever. Spot of the night. Well, it would pretty much probably be the double sunset flip powerbomb in the cruiserweight match. Although Kidman's didn't look great, or the tornado DDT that Hoovy or the Hoovy drive from the top rope that Hoovy did on Kidman. They're probably the two spots of the night. And the best wrestler or the best thing on this show, cruiserweight fatal 4-way wrestler, best wrestler of the night for me, Rey Mysterio. No, Rey Mysterio, no dispute about it. So, thank you for listening to me waffle on about this pay-per-view. My next review on this series will be WCW Super Brawl 99. Yay, I'm really not looking forward to that show, and it's only going to get worse by the end of the year for this series. That'll be episode 8. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and click the bell icon for more videos like this one. I will respond any comments left below. I will respond to as and when I get them, as and when I have the time to. Please don't forget to follow sgraves92 on Twitch, where I do gaming videos, wrestling gaming, so 2K19. I'm not playing 2K20, regardless if anyone pays me millions of pounds. I'm not playing it. I've played it. It is utterly terrible. It's just as bad as everyone says it is. So yeah, please don't forget to follow sgraves92 on Twitch. Don't forget to follow Near Fall Reviews. I am your saviour, Sam Graves, here on Near Fall Reviews. This has been another episode of 99 Was It Divine. I will see you guys in a couple of days' time or weeks, depending on my availability. It'll probably be Monday or Tuesday, I think, is when I'll be doing my next review, which will be Super Bowl 99. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. I've been your saviour, signing out.